And also, just like Disney's hoping that this court case turns out okay for Jonathan Majors, because if it doesn't, we might be getting a new King to Conquer, because that's just the writing on the wall. Sometimes I see it. But there's been updates coming. Of course, Jonathan Majors had his day in court finally. Well, he was virtual. He did a Zoom meeting where it's funny that all the meetings or all the articles online, like he was wearing a tan shirt against a white wall. I'm like, who cares? You know what I mean? But whatever. So that was the thing. But he came out. Of course, the rest happened March 25th, and they're going to have another hearing. So that's the big thing that came from. There'd be another hearing in June, and the criminal lawyer, his defense lawyer, was saying this is a witch hunt. They're saying this is a witch hunt, and this is, again, it's a racist thing. It's they said, well, you have a black man weighing 200 pounds, and it's racial bias that permeates the criminal justice system, which, okay. And instead of dismissing the allegations in the face of the woman's clear lies they're saying, they are adjusting the charges instead. And the big thing, if you look at this whole situation, they were saying that some things changed. They said that there's no thing about strangulation now. Her finger was supposed to be broken. Now they're saying that he actually bruised her finger when pulling her out of the taxi cab. That was something that came up. They were going back and forth about how Jonathan Majors was the one that was abused. That was a big thing that his defense was pushing forward, that it was him, and that the court is not pushing that at all. And they're not trying to put, charges against her. But my biggest thing with this whole thing, is everyone's going back and forth because it does sound weird. All of it sounds, but the fact that it's changing is weird. The fact that his defense lawyer says they have more video footage that will make him cleared 100%, but they wouldn't show it because they're afraid the DA will actually tell the defendant, and the defendant will change her story, and then everything will go out of whack, and then all of a sudden she'll be saying things happened that didn't happen. But my end of the day is this wasn't thrown out. They said it'd be thrown out. It wasn't thrown out. We're going to another thing. They're going back and forth. Is this going to end well for Jonathan Majors? Can he come back from this? Honestly, when's too much that Disney will be like, we have to end this? We have to get somebody else, or do they stick with him? Because they've thrown people aside. Look at Johnny Depp, what happened with him before it even got anywhere. They threw him aside. They broke all of his contracts, and they moved on because that's what happens with business. Regardless, even if he's cleared as being innocent, if this drags on, he could be up to a year in prison if he gets guilty. A year in prison, it's like 5 months probation or something. So like, the whole thing is like, as a company, what do you do? And I think Disney, at the end of the day, has to look at that. And they are going back and forth and looking about it and thinking about it. But when's the point do we think that they'll make a decision on this? Because they haven't said anything. And this came out now. What's going to happen? Mike, what do you think? Do you think that Disney will make a decision soon? Or are they going to wait longer till June? Are they going to wait till summer? What do you think?
Let me respond to what Rachel's saying here. She's surprised that they haven't yet let him go, to be honest. And that makes sense. I can see that, because the first thought that I have is like, well, are they going to alter shooting schedules, like to hold off and wait and see where this evolves? No, that's not a practical thing with when you're dealing with the kind of budgets that they're dealing with. But what Rachel made me think of is like, well, does Disney have anything to gain by early in the process saying, no, we're recasting? Like, what would they have to gain by letting us know? They can sit on what they're doing for until stuff starts to leak. I don't know. I just don't know why they would be incentivized to say anything about what they're going to do, or even as a company, like, sully themselves with that kind of controversy at all. So if I was the Disney Corporation, I would be keeping my mouth shut for the time being too.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense too. But the other thing is you don't know what his contract says too. Does he have a pay or play contract? Is it one of those things that even if they don't use them, they have to pay him at the end of the day? Or can they break the contract and let it go? And
there's got to be all kinds of morality clauses in there.
I was going to say, they definitely have protected themselves since, again, we talked about this, but the James Gunn thing of how they handled that initially, like, yeah, I completely agree with what Mike is saying here. It's just they're waiting. They'll wait as long as they can, or they have to, I guess. Also, that's the writers. What's going on with the writers' strike is also probably a boon for what's going on there too. Like, obviously, they can use that as a little bit of a smokescreen, but yeah, it's I don't think they're going to rush. And again, we're all just going to have to wait until he gets his day in court, or his defense is proven right.
Do we think that they'll do any kind of reshoots if they have to? If they get rid of him, would they reshoot
he shot
Loki?
The whole season of Loki too already. Like, it's in the can.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I don't know what you're gonna do there.
Well, who knows how much he's in it?
Yeah.
I mean, it ended with him and them, so I'm gonna guess
It-
a bit.
it- it-
I'm gonna guess
Yeah,
a
It
it
did
bit.
end with his
It
giant
did.
Probably
his
in every
giant
episode.
statued face. Oh yeah.
Mhm. Seems
man.
like
Well,
that's a
again,
big setup.
if we could
Definitely
just put
problematic.
Denzel Washington in there, he'll
That's a-
solve it all.
That'd be it. That's what I'm saying. I'm still pushing
Yeah.
for a little Denzel. I think that would be fun. I'm just saying, but but we don't know, and that's the thing. Like nobody knows, and of course in June they're gonna have another trial, and they're gonna bring him back in. Like, of course he was via Zoom. He'll have to come in person at that point.
Today was just an arraignment. Like they just basically read you your charges,
Yeah.
let you know what you're charged with, and then you plead guilty or not guilty. Like it's the first baby step. You know what I mean? Like that's. Like nothing happened. His lawyers tried to get the case dismissed because of their shoddy evidence and the text messages that totally read like a typical Lifetime movie of battered women. You know what I mean? Like it was super like not a defense at all, if you ask me. And they had a video of her at a club after it happened. I guess she went out and drank and hung out with her friends. But like, if I just broke up with my boyfriend and he tossed me up against a taxi cab and fucked me around a little bit, I'd probably go out drinking with my friends too. Like
yeah, that's irrelevant.
really,
You're totally right.
Yeah.
But that's what the defense was. They're like, look at this. She's out hanging out with her friends. He obviously didn't hurt her at all. She's totally fine. Look at her. She's fine. You know what I mean? Which is bullshit. And then they showed these bullshit texts, which is again clear. Like it really looked like reading it. It seemed like someone who is regularly abused by someone and apologizing. And because they don't want them to get mad. You know what I mean?
The
Like
defense does seem like they're pulling out everything
Anything.
Seeing what
Yeah.
sticks.
Like,
Oh yeah, they're just throwing shit against the wall.
Necessarily like
Look at
as
They
And
kept saying it was the
also-
cops, so they're like the white cops were forcing stuff in
it's
her
like
her
just
mouth,
like-
and
also if you want to bring historical racism in cases, you should also bring historical celebrity in cases, okay? Because when people are famous, they also have a great leg up. There's so many people who have been involved in much more serious cases have gotten off for things because they were fucking famous. So please don't with the racial card on this. Like that's ridiculous. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen every day in courts everywhere in the world, because it does. But if you're going to bring it in on this, it's ridiculous because he is a celebrity and a huge rising star that is all over right now. So it's ridiculous for her to try to say that. It's almost like offensive to me as a human being that you're going to try to say that to me. Like you just assume everyone's an idiot. You show some stupid text messages that don't help your case. You say she went out with her friends, which also doesn't help your case. And now you're saying it's racism. It's like, just stop grasping at straws and try. And she's like shaming the DA for keeping the charges after the irrefutable evidence. Like, just stop. Yeah. Okay, it's a criminal trial. He, whether he abused her or not, I guess will be yet to be seen. But whatever she's presented to me has been bullshit. And the girl was actually the movement coach on Ant-Man and the Wasp. So they've been together for quite some time.
Yeah, that's the whole thing too. That's a big thing for Disney to deal with too. It's like because they met on Ant-Man.
She's also 5'0", and skinny as like if a gust of wind came, it would blow her away. So I really, I don't see her abusing him as I mean, she may have been hitting him with all she was worth, but I can't see it being more than a mosquito for him. And I'm saying, like, it's not okay for her to do that. Like, and when women, like the whole Johnny Depp, Amber Heard was definitely domestically abusing Johnny Depp, like emotionally and physically. But like in this case, like if she was grabbing at his phone or whatever, because she thought, he was cheating on her or maybe like slapping, it still doesn't give you the right, to hit a woman in the face or to strangle them or to do whatever allegedly that he did. You know what I mean? So the lawyer just seems to be like, kind of going on some weird tangent where she thinks like if she just throws a bunch of shit against the wall, something will finally stick. And that's not how the judicial system works. And if they're holding it and going to the next level, that means that there is a lot of evidence. There's people who come out, they're supposedly, no one knows who they are, but there are supposedly other victims,
right,
that are working with the Manhattan DA currently. Yeah. And people who know those people have spoken out. There was actually a person who I believe is an assistant to a director, maybe at Netflix, who posted something on Twitter like February 14th. I remember because it was Valentine's Day, which was way before this actually happened, and said that I wrote down the quote, hold on. It said, he called him a vicious, cruel, abusive human being in both professional and personal life. and that was before the incident happened. And then when it happened, someone grabbed that and was like, well, I guess we know who he's talking about. And he confirmed, yes, absolutely. And that was before this even came to fruition. And then there's Tim Nikolai, who is mostly a theater director. But I guess he said folks at Yale and the broader New York City community have known this for a while. And then he went on to say that he was known as a sociopath and abuser, and that he personally knows people that he victimized. So, like, I feel like there will be a strong case brought against him. And it's probably not going to be good. Again, this is all allegedly. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, people are going to say things too right away. People jump on things sometimes, but also the fact that it wasn't thrown right out is a situation like you're saying.
These aren't Me Too people. These are people who know him and worked with him, or like knew people that he had issues with before. Like, it just doesn't like the two men are not going to have a stake in being abused by him. So, I mean, I tend to think that that's like fairly credible information.
Can I just say one thing?
They're not friends of this woman.
Sean?
Yes, of course.
I didn't know we were supposed to prepare notes. So Sabrina's coming up with a lot of good points. And I'm gonna start using notes is what I'm just gonna say there.
Sabrina's bringing the notes.
I only take notes when there are like specific things, like the 75 Star Wars things. I had to write those down,
Yeah.
And the actual quotes of what these people said.
I'm not complaining. I'm saying I'm impressed. That's it.
Thank you.
I'm jealous of your notes.
You ate a whole reel of cheese, Baxter.